Alright. I wasn't sure whether I was going to be back today or not, but I am here. And I have the mic right up under my chin, so I apologize. I will try not to be too loud. So, this one, yes, okay. Let me get this thing out the fridge. So, looking at it with fresh eyes. I'm not super mad at it, to be honest. Maybe I'll turn the mic down a little bit, hopefully. Then I'm not going to deafen anyone. I usually have it a little further away from my face. But as it happens, I have to have it right up under my chin because of the vest I'm wearing being cut away too much to have it lower down. It's hot, okay? Oh, I've got a fan going, so I'm sure this will be fine. Where is my reference? Let me pull something up real quick. That's the kidding. Of course, there's a load of banging and clattering outside because I'm out here now. That's the only time this ever happens. Right. So I was establishing this middle bit last time from memory. Decide how this was going to go. What does this come down to? Yeah, it's about... I think I was trying to decide how flat I was going to make everything. I was going to build up around here or not. And I'm still debating that. Because I kind of like the way it looks for the most part. This side is higher than this side though. So I need to add to this right out the gate. But that's fine, I can do that. It's not been as warm as it was a couple of days ago, so hopefully I'm not going to perish too bad. We'll see. I could be wrong. It's right in from up here. Flatter than that. We'll have to smooth things out, so... Flatten that out a bit. I've also managed to screw up my thumb, just in here. But I'd said it to my workmates yesterday, I'm choosing to ignore it because I'm too busy. I don't recommend that mentality. I really don't. It's just true. I don't have time for that. So, you know, I'm sure that will be okay. It's them better. I also have to build it up in here a bit. I can add that. Because thing is, right, I would just shape away some of this side, but I'm super conscious of the foam underneath. So I'm just not going to do that. Rather add a bit to this other side, to be honest. And then realistically, I'm not super unhappy with how things look. I will just have an extra peak in relation to my reference, and then see where it goes from there. Close. Close, but not quite. Probably a bit early for a Sunday for most people. Was it 7:30? That's late for me. And I've been up since 4, so it's just still late for me. It's fine. I do have other obligations today, though, so I'll be around for a bit, and then I will have to duck out to go and play D&D around a mate's place. So yeah, because I realise when I say, oh, I've got other obligations, it sounds like it's something, vaguely serious. No, it isn't. It's just D&D. I say just D&D. It's a big deal. We're at a very critical moment in the campaign, so which incidentally happens to be the longest running campaign our DM has ever run by pure chance. But namely the fact that we are bumbling idiots who stop at every shiny thing. Then that's just D&D, right? That's just how that goes. I think what I might do is put this bit on here first, and then faff with the other bit after the fact. Let me see if that makes my life a little easier. I'd quite like to get this mostly made up and finalized this morning. Because ideally, I want to be able to mess with some chemicals soon. Because then I can do the same for my main project. Then I only have today off before I'm back at work again for a couple of days. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what I manage to get through. I reckon I can get this on here. I can get this on here and get like the annoying middle bit thing too. Oh, but I've also got this. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm trying to learn from my previous mistakes when it comes to overcommitting. I suppose just kind of curbing my enthusiasm, let's say. I'm gonna be a little more realistic with how long things are gonna take. Because at the end of the day, I'm still myself. And I will still take longer than I intended. So, we'll see. I'll try, but I can promise nothing. Let's say took that off there. That seems better. I think it's too thick. I think if I do this for at least a couple hours, and then see what other things I need to do before I go contend with D&D this afternoon. Make sure all of that's done, and then if I have some extra time, then great. But I have no way of knowing yet, so we'll see. We'll see. That's always the danger when I don't have to run to go to work. I'll just end up being here for much longer than I should. But I've been devising a schedule, trying to figure out something a little more concrete for when I am officially done with the day job. And I'm hoping that provides a level of accountability that means I stick to an actual routine. Because the problem I have is not with, doing stuff. It's with walking away. Not good at that. Oh. How did my music stop? Oh, I think my headphones just died. Oh, that's fine. Cool. Thanks. Thanks, headphones. Let me just start that up again. That's something I really don't need to go wrong. I rely so heavily on music. I don't understand people that don't. No offense. There's like a mate of mine at work was saying like, oh, I don't really notice the music and things, and I don't understand that at all. Like I'm so music brained, it's unreal. It has such a massive impact on my mood. Just everything, I suppose. It's fun. I think my headphones just had a moment. They're loud. I've had these for a very long time. Longer than I should have, really. Like I used to wear these things walking to work in the rain, and then one day I was all shocked Pikachu when they stopped working. So I just, assumed they were dead, but didn't have the heart to chuck them out. So I got myself a new set, and different brand, and then out of interest, I went back to these. A couple of months later, just to see if they still worked. They do. So now I just have 2 sets of headphones, and I use these ones as like my my project headphones, because they're older and, you know, just less nice, I guess. My other ones are white, so I kind of want to, at least try to keep them white. Whereas these are grey and old and whatever, but they're great, so definitely no qualms on that. Right, as far as getting this even, not far off actually. Not far off at all. Tiny bit off from down here. And realistically, that kind of fixes that. Pretty good. Okay. I am reasonably okay with how that's ended up. But there is just this little bit in here. I kind of want that to be more rounded, like the other side. So I'm wondering if I can just whack something in here to make that the case. This is back to what I was saying about, like, I can't just walk away from stuff. That's not how this works. Is it even going to make much of a difference? Yeah, actually, yeah, it does. It does. Just have to put another tiny bit in this top corner. And as I said yesterday, as far as the overall finish, I can sand that in post, that's whatever. The main thing is, if I can just get this to a moldable point, then I can mold it. I come to make a cast, and I think I am going to do what I'd kind of theory crafted last time, and I'll fast cast 1/2, rinse, repeat, stick the 2 parts together, and then take it from there. I think that's going to be the way to play it. Because then I should be able to get 2-part mold that is definitely even. It's a much deeper gap on that side than there is on this side. I'm trying to decide whether I like that or not. Or if it's just the light that makes it look like that. That's definitely a thing. I think I prefer it being shallower, so I'm going to fill in a tiny bit in that gap as well. Let's see, put this in here. See, if I had another functional webcam, I could get like a real close-up going, but I just don't. So distance is kind of all I've got for now, annoyingly. Kind of all I can do for the time being. You're just kind of going to have to trust me for a lot of this. I still plan to get another webcam that is decent. Get numerous viewpoints on stuff like this. It is definitely irritating not being able to show what I want. But also, it's not going to make a lot of sense just having a little piece of something in view. I don't know. I'll figure it out eventually at some point. Right, that's better. So I'm inclined to just say that the blade itself, I'm likely to wreck if I try to faff with it a whole bunch more. So maybe I just say, hey, you know what? This is probably okay. Because I'm super wary about fiddling with bits and then ruining it and then being really mad about it. So, you know, that tends to be what I end up doing. But also, in contrast to that, I tend to look at these things and go, well, there's no point doing it if you're not going to go all in. But then I need to get better at balancing, like, what is reasonable finesse versus excessive to the point that, like, no one's going to notice, so why am I doing it? That is a balance I am yet to strike in pretty much everything I ever do. This little ridge. I like this little ridge on this side. I kind of want to get the same thing on the other side. But what's the best way of doing that? without wrecking anything. But also, how necessary is it? Reference that thing that I keep refusing to use. Well, I mean, it does kind of give the right effect. So yeah, maybe I do. All right. Let me definitely not panic as I try to think about the best way of doing this. So I think it only needs a tiny bit taken off, and the rest I can just kind of mush. That's the other thing, is getting a taper. That's better. I like that ridge being there. Okay. It's definitely better. I feel like this side needs to and here we go in that loop. That damn loop. Where I'm looking at stuff and going, but actually, that's whatever. I knew this would be the case. I'm just gonna have to stop hitting myself, realistically. That's what it boils down to. I just don't even pretend like this wasn't gonna be a thing. Whatever. Just lean into it. I'm just trying to get everything even, to be honest. It's whatever. It's fine. I'm relatively chill today, so I can mentally handle this currently. Always subject to change. But at the moment, I think I'm able to contend with this. It's a small addition, but I think it will make me less bothered. Just trying to even things up a bit, that's all. Because the trouble is, like, it's much easier to take bits away. But then it's like, I suppose I'd look at it kind of like the, what would you call it? The, you know, the problem with like eyeliner, right? Stay with me. This is, I promise this is relevant. But it's the removing clay ends up being like the eyeliner problem, where you get a really good wing on one side, you go to do the other, and it ends up too long. So you're like, okay, it's fine. I'll just make the other side longer, and then that's even longer, and it just keeps going until you have like massive black triangles at the corners of your eyes that look horrendous. It's the same principle, right? That's the word. The eyeliner principle, let's call it that. It's the same with taking away clay. And then it's like, okay, this side's slightly higher, so I'll just shape it down a bit. Ooh, okay, that was a little bit too much. Well, I'll just match it on the other side. Ooh, hang on a minute. We're in the same position. And then you end up making a horrendous mess of the entire thing. So I'd rather add a bit to match another side, because that's ultimately less damaging. Like, it's quicker to shave bits down, and it's usually easier to see what you're doing, but it's also kind of higher stakes, I suppose. Like, you're really more likely to cock it up. So it's absolutely my preferred, but it's also the most subject to risk. But I'm hoping, because this has been in the fridge overnight, it's not going to be too mad at me when I'm messing around with various. Although it's likely to warm up fairly quickly. So, yeah. We're going to attempt to be smart with it. But I can promise very little, objectively. Okay. Is now more accurate to the other side, which is all I wanted. So, having taken half an hour to do what appears to be very little, thinking I need to address the proverbial elephant in the room. Deal with this bloody middle bit. That's the real problem here. I'd say problem. That's the bit that I'm looking at the most skeptically, I suppose. So we'll see. I wonder if I can bring the camera closer. Trouble is that the lighting is not great. So you can kind of see, but you also kind of really can't a whole bunch. Like, it's still pretty dark. I mean, I can leave it like that for a minute, but I don't know whether it's going to help a whole bunch. Right. I'm going to have to bite the bullet in a second and actually deal with that mid, but these are still too thick. And this is what I mean when I get into like an obsessive sort of frame. Looking at stuff like, does it matter? No, it doesn't. But am I going to faff with it anyway? Yes. Yes, I am. Because I think I can do something to make it better. So I want to. Because it's got a really nice thin taper on the other side. So I want to try and mimic that on this side. And then I'm inevitably going to encounter the eyeliner principle. Almost definitely going to be the case. But for now, I can continue to ignore my own advice. The other thing is that's flatter. So I actually need to bring that down a bit. I'm gonna get my wrist in the way so much, that's the thing. I swear I'm trying to find a decent perspective for all of this. It's quite difficult. Okay, see, I like that. Now, can I just do exactly the same thing on the other side? Maybe. Maybe. I'm certainly going to try. Slightly. Not perfectly symmetrical. But does it matter? Dang it. No, no it doesn't. I'm going to be obsessing over this for an unhealthy amount of time. I'm saying that like I haven't already, so you know what? In for a penny and all that. Still feel like this is just too dark to see anything. There's another lamp somewhere. Hang on. Maybe I can actually be vaguely smart about this. Let me see. Oh god, no, that somehow made everything awful. Well. Okay, not that then. Cool. Jeez. Is it any better over here? Nope. Okay. You know what? I gave it a go. That just... don't know why the webcam hates that, but alright. Oh, well, darkness it is. Gave it a go. But, well, I guess. I think I'm just gonna, you know, move this back to where it was. That's gonna cause the least harm. Jeez. Alright, well, that was an attempt. Is that where it was? Roughly? Yeah, kinda, okay. That's kinda where it was. So, I just attempt to walk away from that. Attempt being the operative term, because it's not gonna happen. Because it's not quite the same. It doesn't need to be, but it also kind of does, and this is definitely obsessive. I'm never sure whether it's, like, better or worse to have the self-awareness for this. Like, is it better to know that this is overkill? And, like, oh, okay, well, I can recognize it. Or is it worse because I recognize it and I continue to do it anyway? I don't know. I feel like there are pros and cons for each. That's kind of all I can say on the matter. I feel like it just needs to be slightly thicker. Right, look, bear with me, okay? I promise I will eventually move on to the elements of this that actually matter. Just not quite yet. So I feel like if I add this little bit in here, I can make it match the other side. At least I'm not on like a super tight schedule today. Just, you know, just got to be, well, I was going to say vaguely sensible, and then remembered that that's not applicable to anything I do ever. So, I suppose I can settle for aware, vaguely aware. I have other things I need to get done today. Or I go out to hang with my mates. I'm not sure how I keep getting this confused. Actually, that's not terrible. Not terrible. It's better than it was. So maybe I just say, you know what? That's not as awful as it could have been. Again, if I'm gonna make a cast of this anyway, and then sand it, a lot of this doesn't even matter. And various lies I keep telling myself. I think the thing is, I just move that down a bit, kind of bring this to match the other side. God, I'm such a mumbler. It's just because I'm so accustomed to working on my own in silence. Having said that, I mean, at work, I talk to myself a lot. That's primarily because there's a lot I need to try and remember. I can finesse that in post. I'm still debating, like, how perfect do I make this thing? You know? Because it depends whether I lean into the whole in-game aspect, or if I'm just like, you know what, I want to make something that's just disgustingly perfect. But then that's really just because that's from an obsessive place rather than like a craftsman thing. So I'm inclined to say, no, screw you, I'm not playing into your obsessive compulsive tendencies. Because it will never be good enough if I do. And that defeats the point. Okay. So, if I were to fight the dang bullet and address this fairly daunting amount of detail for the middle, I've got this as a template, which is something. Just going to make sure all of this is even. Please just let me dust this off. Pretty please. This is gonna get annoying. That's fine. Then this is where it becomes unfun. Because I then have to try and evenly mark a whole bunch of tiny little lines. And that's not how this will want to work. Tell you that right now. This is going to be hell on earth. I just give that one of these. Get away with it. Would you please? Kinda. I don't know why this bit is down here. That's irritating. Right. That's the other thing I'm super conscious of. Is this ending up being kind of wonky. Don't need that. Okay. I need this to stay even. Please, please, please. I'm pretty sure it already isn't. Why did I have to pick something symmetrical? I'd gone with a Daedric dagger, I'd had a much easier time of things. But no. No, I had to choose glass. Because I hate myself, apparently. Right. Stop obsessing, please. Right, a little bit. So scuffed from the side. Hadn't stopped to look at the side. It ain't it. And that's going to be one of those bits that's going to suck to try and stand. So let me just hold this up to my eyes whilst I try desperately to fix how agonizingly wonky it looks. As I proceed to accidentally cut into the damn thing. That's the problem with this clay, is it's so easy to wreck it. As easy as it is to shape and how helpful that is, it also is very easy to ruin. Haha, please stop. You'd think I'd learn not to do the same things over and over again when they keep wrecking the thing. But no. There will be no learning here. Not from me. I'm just having to get my face right up in this to see what was going on. So, you know, bear with me for a sec. I'm inevitably going to have to re-neaten a bunch of this as well. So start cutting into that middle, which I am not enjoying as a premise, to be honest. Really not. But it's great. I know as soon as this is all done and molded and I get the first cast out of it, I'm going to be so full of it. I'll be, oh yeah, no, this is great. This was fun. I liked this. I'll do this again. That's how the cycle goes. It's the creative cycle. Pain, suffering, anguish, fury. You get to the end and go, yep, that was great. I'll do it again. I'll do it again an infinite number of times. I'll never learn. Really. Okay. That is better than it was. I think that's going to be something that I fix in post. That is still too high. I can feel the bump in it right here. Should probably get some tweezers in at some point to help remove a bunch of this so it doesn't get stuck to the rest of it. Maybe at some point. Where's my... this one? Not this one. No, it is this one, it's just the other end. Okay. Like this. I wanna push it. That's definitely better, but still too high. Yeah. Get rid of that. Promise this all looks insignificant, but it will make a massive difference. I can't do anything to this middle until I'm happy with how everything sits. So when I say happy, I mean I can contend with. Oh hey, morning. What What time is it where you're at? I thought you'd rock up. 6:30. Jeez, man. Alright, well. Cool. That's only a couple hours different to when I got up this morning. Although in fairness, I did lay in. $6:30 is still nuts. You're sunburned. Oh, really? You mean your idea of keeping yourself cool by existing in a body of magnifying glass, essentially, was not it? Perhaps not the big brain play you thought it was, eh? You didn't go swimming? Oh. So you literally just sat out in the sun instead. Because that's still not ideal. You read an entire book, bruh. That's just a little bit mental, to be honest. I could not remain still for that long, if I'm honest. Like, if I'm too sedentary, I just feel gross. It was a really fast-paced book. I didn't even notice I was reading it. Jeez. Well, fair enough. Still constitutes a flex. I will grant it that. How is D&D? Well, D&D is today, so I am looking forward to that. Yesterday was just the lab, so yeah, which actually ended up fine. I had a bit of a giggle yesterday, actually. So you know Reese upstairs, where Charlie and Anne and Ruby are. So Ian has been 3D printing him a bunch of tiny ducks, which you may or may not already be aware of. Grace and Rhea were not aware of this, so I took them upstairs yesterday to locate the tiny ducks, and we hid them all around the office. You've seen some of the ducks. Good. So, yeah, there are now a bunch of ducks in random places in that office. So, Monday's going to be fun. I'm just gonna deny all knowledge, to be honest. Just like, what? There are ducks everywhere? Well, that's so random. Who would do that? That's amazing. Yeah. There was some really good duck placement from Grace and Rhea yesterday. I was quite proud of them. Very creative. because yesterday actually ended up being quite a slow day. Makes a bloody change. It was just a lot of waiting around for pumps. Okay, I'm actually going to address this ruddy middle bit, I think. So I will just keep seeing things that I want to act with, like this not being even. That's annoying me. I need to walk away. You've made a lot of progress from what I've last seen. I don't know. It might be hard to discern particularly, but that's where I'm at. It's not easy to see. When I'm watching live, I don't necessarily notice. Yeah, that's fair. But yeah. I need to tackle this middle strip, which I'm dreading because there's a lot of detail. It's so cool. Cheers. It sure will be when I'm actually done with it. I need to tackle the bit I've just been stalling with this whole time because there's so many tiny details. There's a bunch of bumps in the middle. Yeah. That's I've been I've been trying not to contend with it this whole time, but I have no choice now. So I think what I'll do, my little 2-day project. Yeah, that is always how this works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out a little section of hilt from simplified template I made originally, and I'm going to use that to help inform where I place all of this. Hoping will be useful. If I'd folded this in half, I would have had a much easier time, but oh well. Clearly folded it in half to draw it, and then didn't think, if I do the same to cut it, that would be smart. Oh well. Cut it now, so who cares? Just need to know roughly where this is going. I can place the rest. How long am I planning on streaming for today? It varies. It's gonna depend pretty heavily on how much other stuff I need to get done today. And really, that's not a whole lot, I guess. It's not masses. So I'll be streaming for as long as I can get away with streaming, I guess. Is a really cryptic answer to that question. Okay. So looking at this, that sits there. This then sits here, which means I should have got a pen ready to do something about this. Nice one? Yeah, I know. I really don't have a lot in the way of things actually sensibly planned out here. which shouldn't really be a surprise at this point, if I'm honest. Still got a gummy throat as well, which is just irritating because I've keep managing touch all of the wood to skirt whatever plagues have been circulating at work, but I just end up with an annoying throat instead. But oh well. Okay, so based on the reference I have, this should sit something like this, which means that in relation to this, that's there, that's along there, that's up there, but then that's up there. So that's where that sits now. Then there's a bit of a gap. Does that matter? I'm not sure. Is that going to be a different material? Yeah. So that's the plan. Ugh, this is just the prod disease. But yeah, that's the plan. Is I'm going to make this out of something else. What I am yet to decide, but it will be something. Maybe if I do it from higher up then. Oh, for God's sake, right, I'm going to mute my mic quickly, cough aggressively, and then be back. Okay, maybe that's better. Hard to know. Yeah, maybe I just take the whole thing up a bit then. I've got a load of tape. Let me tape this real quick. Also hit my camera, because I'm a genius. Let me tape this to this in an attempt to have some kind of guide. Got a dip for a bit, but you're still streaming, I'll pop in later. That would be, as I say, kind of an intermittent thing. Bits and pieces here and there. Okay, I can make this work. So, yeah. I will probably be around at some point. Bye, catch you later. More than probably. Because I originally drew this and it wasn't symmetrical, it's just continued to not be symmetrical, so oh well. I will base this on approximations, which is the opposite of what I wanted, but there we go. That's just where we're at this point. So it's roughly like that. Now marking this is gonna suck. What's the best strat, I wonder? Where is the chisel thing? It is here. I think this is just gonna suck. But if I know it needs to be cut open from around here, then marking them individually is going to be a massive pain in the ass. So, I wonder if I take this just to get a center line indented. always mess about with it after the fact. Hopefully that gives the center line. Ah. And I have cut my glove. Because of course I have. Oh well. That's the center line. Good for me. I'm hoping I can just go through and kind of stamp everything. I had a screwdriver. It wasn't this tiny, but it was still small. Let me investigate. Kick the fan on the way. I think it was this one. I'm hoping if I use this, I can kind of sort of mark where these go. Maybe. Kind of, actually. Kind of. Right, I think I'm going to BRB real quick, get my water, come back and suffer. So bear with, and I will return. I'm back, and while I was away, I had a slightly nutty idea. That may be one of those, it's so off the wall, it just might work kind of things. I mean, it's not that nuts in fairness. Basically, I thought, hey, I have a bunch of matchsticks. How big are these? Oh, exactly the width of a matchstick. That's insane. So, that might actually end up being how I approach this. Just as a whole thing. So what I think I'll do is I will go around and kind of stamp where this should be. And of course my phone keeps disconnecting from chat. And my headphones actually, which is odd. Because there's no reason. So fine, I'll change the song anyway. Come on, connect to the thing. Do the thing. And I want this song. Good. Right, anyway. I'm going to keep stamping this edge. In the hopes that by the time I peel this away, I'll have a line to work to. There's every chance I'm going to have to blag it slightly. And I'll just try and make it symmetrical on the other side. Alright, I can kind of see what that is. That's fine. And then as we've learned, we don't drag play because it just becomes a mess. So I'm instead going to carefully damp it. As my chat continues to disconnect and reconnect for reasons unbeknownst to me. Okay, that gives me a rough idea. Trouble is, I'm gonna have to cut a lot of this away. I need to have this angled straight down. Okay. Oh, hey. Awesome. How's it going? It's so rare that I get to look at the new follower thing when it happens. I'm so distracted, I always miss it. So thanks. That's very cool. Welcome to realistically Carnage. Like it's just a fairly constant kind of, well, I'm just gonna try this and see what happens sort of thing. And I'm quietly hopeful about this. I think it will end up being pretty okay. Just have to figure out the best means of getting this out. Hi, seems awesome whatever you're making. Thank you. It will eventually be a dagger. It's just, it's gonna take a little while before it is. But that's fine. I am extremely patient, so I will eventually get there. I just have to be fairly careful. Try and figure out the best way of scraping out this middle bit. Is it going to be glass? So it's going to be a type of resin that when it cures looks like glass. That's the plan. Let me see if I can use this to get this out. Probably. Yeah, that works. It's just going to take me a while. Are you having fun? Yeah. You know what? Yes, I am. It's tedious, but it's a fun kind of tedious. I see, even cooler. Thanks. I'm hoping to get most of the blade done and dusted today. Then I can stick some silicone on top, mold it, and yeah, kind of faff around with the rest. This takes a lot of patience because it's going to be very, very easy to ruin this. I'm trying currently to excavate the very middle section without screwing up these edges. It's not easy. Yes, new viewer. Super exciting. Welcome. It's honestly, it's usually pretty zen here. It's advertised as chaos because it absolutely is. But it's typically a fairly mellow chaos. It varies though. Hope everyone's having a nice Sunday morning. Nice and chilled with any luck. Yep, I'm doing some crafting too. Yo, awesome. What you up to? Needle felting. Ooh, very nice. Anything in particular? where I'm going to do my backing. There's no other way of doing this, so oh well. Keep debating, would I have an easier time if I sat down while I did this? But probably not. Probably not. Making a Pokemon? Whoa. It's nuts. Has these long... It's best way I can do it. Okay. Interesting. That's very convoluted. So I'm going to assume that, that this isn't the first time you've tried needle felting. I always see like little kits and stuff in hobby shops, but it's not something that I ever really thought of applying, I suppose. Then I've always been more geared toward like sewing and I suppose bigger things, you know. Needle felting looks honestly pretty chilled out and cathartic. I've just never had an application for it. It's kind of like, well, I suppose, knitting in a way that like it seems very involved, you know. It's a Suicune, the body's made of clay. Yo, huge. That's awesome. See, the trouble with me is I'm always looking at new crafts and stuff and thinking, that looks like fun. I should try that. But I have to be careful and sort of think, okay, but where would I use it? Because otherwise, it's such a rabbit hole. It's like at one point I was really into like latch hook, and I was super invested in making a bunch of like little rugs and things, and eventually I had to stop myself because it's like this is taking up too much of my time. So I've not been back to it. Maybe I will at some point, but it is just such a time eater. And it's not really applicable to my my usual brand of craft. It was fun, I liked it. I get way too lost and stuff. Do you have a Discord? I do, but it's not like a this Discord. It's more like a private Discord. So I don't actually. I should set one up though. I should set one up. I like mixing mediums, and that's been really fun. Yeah. No, totally, totally. Mixing mediums is absolutely huge. And that's the thing with trying various crafts, you know, it is just acquiring various skills that you can usually apply in other areas. I just know myself, and I know that if I find another hobby, I'm going to get so preoccupied. And I've got a lot that I need to finish to various deadlines. That makes sense. I'd join the Discord, yeah. Yeah, I should. I should. I'll stick it on my to-do list. I think that's the side of things I haven't really given a lot of thought to with streaming, is like the community aspect. This was very much something I just jumped into because, you know, I make stuff anyway, so I may as well stream it while I do it. I hadn't really considered everything that goes along with that. So, and I also still need to change that music pot because I've given up on having music for now because I know like when I watch people streaming stuff just while I'm doing other things in the background, I prefer playing my own music anyway. So yeah, that was my thinking with that in the end. Okay. You get a setup like a camera and stuff. Yeah, so the webcam is pretty decent. I got it as like a Black Friday sort of thing, and the laptop I'm running everything off of is actually my old laptop. I say old, but it's comparatively old compared to my like actual PC, and it was very much just kind of a whatever I've got here, I'll make use of. The mics I also got as a Black Friday thing. So yeah, it's definitely not the most kitted out sort of setup. Like I've got the webcam sat on top of a couple of coffee tins, just taped down with masking tape. So all of this was pretty not super well thought out, I guess. Well thought out enough. It's functional enough. But it's definitely not the pro setup. But I kind of just figured, better to start somewhere than to just not do anything at all. So I'll eventually upgrade and have things done properly. But the priority was just doing something, I've been thinking of streaming at some point. Just do it. Just do it. You might as well. I think these days it's actually quite a common thing for a lot of people. Just whack on a webcam as you're doing various bits and pieces, because you might as well. Yeah, and it works really well. Yeah. So that's the thing, is you don't have to have the most outrageous setup. Something is better than nothing. That's the way I look at it. Oh, hey. How's it going? Happy Sunday. Hope everyone's having a nice, chill morning. I know I am. Even if I am throwing me back out. Maybe I will eventually sit down to do this. I don't know. I just feel like I'll end up getting my head in frame. And that will just be unhelpful. I'm alright, just waiting for time to pass. Oh, fair enough. You, got something you're doing then? Like an appointment or an event or something to that effect? In practice with my buddies? Okay, cool. Fair enough. You're more than welcome to, pull up a chair, just hang out for a bit. It's typically pretty mellow over here, so, you know. I'm not sure how long I'm gonna be streaming for today, because I also have things planned with friends, but not until this afternoon. So, you know, I can be here for a bit. Hopefully, I can get most of this done. And then the next time that I'm on stream, I can be actually molding everything. That would be really nice. What other tools can I get in there? Not many. Maybe this? Yeah, kinda. Kinda does. Trying to get it vaguely smooth in there, which is going to be pretty tricky. See how lucky I get. Maybe this will work, actually. That's pretty decent, yeah. In fairness, most of this gap's going to be covered anyway. So it's not like it's actually a huge deal. Another one of those. No one else will notice, but I'll know it's there. I can't help it. I think the trouble with this is because there's no actual deadline for it. I'm in danger of spending forever doing it. Always a danger. I find I'm one of those people that needs to have a deadline to actually get anything finished. And it's not because, like, well, it's not necessarily because I leave things till the last minute or whatever. It's usually just because I'm too obsessive. I spend too much time on stuff. More time than I actually need to. Okay, well, actually managing to get a fairly decent French going, which is nice. I have to finesse it a bit after the fact. I'm not super bothered. So long as the main indent is there, I can kind of mess with the rest later. So where is my frame of reference? Where all of this is going to end up. So that's going to be on there like that. So, yeah, roughly like that, eventually. Okay. So yeah, if I take this all the way up, that should be fine. Let me dig out some more of that with whatever I was using. Which I've already forgotten. No, it was this. It was this. That's fine. It was definitely this. Do it this way. Grab some more of this. It's when I eventually end up sculpting. I'll sculpt it on top of a cast of this. Then everything should line up perfectly, in theory. That should be fine. Then I can cast them out of different materials. So how much of this ends up covered by that? That's that. So about to where I've got it. About to where I've got it. So if I smooth this off, then in theory, I've kind of sort of the right type of thing. Ish. I don't use that one though. I use this one. I'm going to muck up that line. I'm not very careful. The more I have to mess with that, the more likely it is that it ends up wonky. That's just going to be a massive pain to try and fix. I've been putting off trying to deal with this bit for ages, because I knew it was going to suck. I really didn't want to have to mess with it too much. But I also knew I'd have no choice. Once I've got this in a decent sort of place, I need to look at those matchsticks and see how I can make that work. I think might be a pretty okay plan. Should take advantage of it, given everything matches for the size. Not the worst. Mind roll with that. Again, no one's going to see the bottom of that trench. Just so long as everything is pretty squared off. I don't know why I'm trying to square anything with a bevel, so let me not do that. Give it one of these instead. This is always where it gets tricky. Because clay is soft, and it wants to bow and bend, which is fine for a lot of applications. But when you want straight lines, it becomes really quite awkward. Which is why I've been leaving things in the fridge. Where is the one I literally just had? It's fine, I'm blind. Yeah, that's why I've been leaving it in the fridge. So that it kind of stiffens up again. Doesn't warp as much. I think that's the trouble I'm going to have now. Is that everything's kind of going to be too soft to keep it holding firm like I want it to. Keep accidentally screwing up the lines. And carefully kind of push it back in again. It's going to end up a bit of a nightmare, I think. Might be one of those things I have to actively force myself not obsess over. Which is going to be pretty difficult. But oh well. Jeez, my throat. Considering the weather has been getting warmer here, everyone seems to be getting ill. And I don't get it. I really don't. I thought that was just like a winter thing for most people. Apparently it's a spring thing as well. I don't know, I'm touch wood, I'm typically okay as far as like the standard winter illnesses. Not really a thing that applies to me. So I'm kind of extra confused when it's spring and everyone starts suffering. Like, hay fever, I can completely understand. That's entirely fair. Just like being super ill when the weather changes. I don't know. I think sometimes it's also like when there's a sudden change in weather, people tend to struggle. Like if it's suddenly hot like it has been here, then yeah, I think that's fair enough. Your body just kind of freaks out. You did just have like a random heat wave. Which, to my knowledge, is supposed to be calming down again. Just had a random string of like 3 or so days that were unreasonably hot. Out of nowhere as well. It was pretty horrendous. Always been grateful that I a hay fever sufferer. But maybe I am, and maybe that's why my throat is an absolute mess. I know people who get it really bad. I've always been thankful that that's not a thing for me. It always just seemed like such a kick in the teeth, you know? Ah, finally, the weather's getting nicer. The flowers are coming out, birds are singing. My eyes are on fire, you know, everything's great. As I say, it's never been a thing for me, so the only problem I have is that I can't regulate my temperature. So whenever the weather is above 10 degrees, I suffer. I'm used to that now, and I can fully appreciate that it is a me problem. So, you know, I tend to just contend with it. Deal with it however I need to. This means I'm usually indoors for a lot of the summer. Spring, I try, but it depends. Some days are hotter than others. So. Sucks. It's the time of year where I'd usually walk places. I end up having to rely on public transport, so I don't overheat. And it's weird because it seems like it's not a particularly common problem, but also temperature issues kind of are with quite a few people. What cosplay is that thing for? So this is one of those things I just woke up and decided to make one day. So it's gonna be a glass dagger from Skyrim when I'm eventually done messing around with it. And it was mostly just an excuse to test a new kind of resin that I got my hands on. See what I can do with it. And if it comes out well, then I should be able to make a bunch of them, which will be fun. Cool. Oh, thanks. I'm hoping so. It's definitely the plan. What else have I cosplayed? Jeez. So last year in October, I cosplayed Astarion in the Wave Mother robe from Baldur's Gate 3. That was very good fun. That was probably my most comfortable cosplay that I've ever made and worn. I think my most uncomfortable one was I think it was either a year or a couple of years before that. And that was my King Crimson from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. That was a nightmare. I'm pretty pleased with how it came out, but as far as like it was one of those things I needed people to help me to get it on and off. So that was very much a suffering for your art sort of thing. I've also done the Huntress from Dead by Daylight. That was fairly comfortable. I've done Cheek from Legend of Zelda. That was very warm. Lots of layers. Geez, what else? Oh, I did Samus. Samus in the Varia suit. Way back. That was when I was in like my mid-teens. That was ridiculous. In fairness, I'd like to remake that suit at some point. Because at the time, it was all just craft foam and cereal boxes. I mean, it ended up pretty good for what it was. But I've been meaning to try it again at some point. So maybe, who knows? Who knows? I'm wondering if I can make these work. How easy it's gonna be. Because they're gonna be so tiny, jeez. May end up being more difficult than I think it is. Can I just cut these with scissors? Or is that gonna make a mess? That's definitely gonna make a mess. I mean, it makes a mess, but it also kind of works. Oh, I don't know. Maybe it'll be okay. This is where I'm gonna definitely need to use tweezers, which I have somewhere. I've been wanting to get into cosplay for the longest time, but never got to start with it. You'd be surprised. It's easier than you're thinking it is. 'Cause I've been. There goes my throat again. Bear with. Okay, so I've been cosplaying. Geez, since I was 13, and I started out with a very, very basic Link cosplay. More Zelda stuff. Big Zelda fan. And that was just a felt tunic I'd based off of a t-shirt that was a few sizes too big for me. And then I just cut some stuff from that, messed around with a sewing machine, and, you know, I've been meaning to get a 3D printer so I can print armor pieces. Yeah, totally fair. Mainly Gundam parts to wear as armor. So the only thing I will say is that 3D printed armor is totally great and awesome, but it's also typically quite heavy. So when it comes to Gundam stuff, something you can actually do, if you... I've got scraps kicking about, surely. You end up using... Let me find it. Got a whole bag of scraps somewhere. Where did I put it? Oh, I remember. Can't find it. Let me just use the roll. So if it's heavy, great, it'll be a great workout. that is one way of looking at it. But if you actually use the Gundam stuff, if you use this kind of foam, EVA foam, right? This stuff is like gold dust, cosplay gold dust. If you cut your armor pieces in this, what you can do is you can wrap that in vinyl, and you can get a kind of sleek plastic effect, but it stays super lightweight. I've seen people make Gundam cosplays using that as their method, and it's absolutely unreal. So cool. So that is also an option. I've heard great things about EVA foam, but the reason behind getting a 3D printer is also to learn Blender. Very, very valid. Hello, how's it going? Welcome. Yeah, 3D printer, honestly, that makes total sense. I can completely understand that. I'm okay, you? Yeah, I'm good. I am good. I'm trying to figure out the best approach for this dagger that I'm making, which is all well and good, but proving to be interesting. Because what would be ideal is if I had some seed beads or something kicking about. I don't think I'd have anything square. You're overambitious. Yeah, I feel that. At some point, I also want to learn how to sew. Yeah. Well, they're all useful skills. And when it comes to cosplay, you will use pretty much everything always. That's just the nature of it. I'm starting to think maybe if I just cut some clay instead of messing about with matchsticks, maybe I'd have an easier time with this. Yeah, sewing is definitely fun. Definitely fun. And it's got so many applications. Like I've got a friend of mine who is married but never had a proper wedding. She's been asking me to try and figure something out for her wedding dress, which is unreal. Um, so things like that, big things, but also really small things. Like the amount of times I've torn a hole in my work trousers. That's cool, I can fix it. You know. What I could never, I know, wedding dress, I'm sweating a little bit. I'm definitely sweating. But it's one of those things like, you know what, screw it. I've been sewing for a very long time. So I think the thing with me is that I always, I'm super guilty of the whole like, oh, but other people do it better. So yes, but that will always be the case. If you're constantly comparing yourself to industry professionals, you will never do anything. So just don't. Just look at things objectively and think, okay, well, what am I actually capable of? Because you'd be surprised. It'll be a hell of a lot. I've been sewing for 7-ish years. That's a long time. That's a long time to be sewing. So you will definitely be more capable than you think you are. I'm starting to wonder if I need a core in here. Maybe that'd give me something more to work with. Question is, what can I use? Got some wire, but none of it's straight enough. Just gonna make a mess. Not comparing myself to others is the best thing I started to do. Massively. Massively. 110%. EVA foam is a lifesaver. Also 110%. It absolutely is. It is a wonder material. It's got so many applications. It's genuinely nuts. Maybe I can use like a cable tie or something. What have I got in this random box of stuff? I've got loads of stuff kicking about. There must be something. Unless I know I've got wire. Where am I keeping it these days? That's here. Okay. I don't think I'll be able to get any of it straight though. That's the thing. Foam clay. Ah, yes. That is. See, I was really late to the party with foam clay. And I regret being late to the party. Because it's unbelievable stuff. I used it recently to sculpt a mask, and it was weird to work with, but it was it was easier than I thought it was going to be, really. As soon as I started cosplaying, I found it, yeah, genuinely. It's like, it was one of those things I discovered, I think through Instagram, just watching various reels and whatever. I discovered it through there, through a cosplayer I was following. I just looked at it and was like, you're kidding me. No way. No way is this a thing. It is genuinely nuts. I'm debating whether I've made this indent too deep. Maybe. Found it at a craft store. Yeah. Yeah. I think initially I'd come across something similar way back in the day with like Crayola model magic. And it's like an inferior version. But at the time, I'd used it to sculpt the fins on the shoulders of my Varia suit cosplay, and it was great. That's not going to help me as much as I thought I would, again, because I can't get it straight. So, yeah, I think what I'll do instead is, there are cable ties around, I can use cable ties. Unless I was really smart. Can I get away with using a really thin paintbrush for this? Because it gets thicker toward the top, which is what that does, but it's too thick. Okay. Okay, let's go back to plan A. Use like 4 packs of it on one mask and you're not done. Yeah. Yeah, it does get like that. I tend to build up something underneath first, so I'm only ever using like a tiny bit at the end, really. It's usually like a base of EVA and tin foil, and then I'll just add a little bit on top to kind of actually finish everything properly. Where did I see those cable ties? Oh, they're here. Okay. How long do I need it to be? Fairly. So let me take the longer ones. And then I'll just chop it as I need to, I guess. Let me see what I can do with that. Yeah, I did too, but it's just such a large surface area. Like fursuit head, jeez. Yeah, that is definitely a surface area. So like, are you actually making a fursuit head? Or is it just like comparable to? So I've got a mate of mine who's made her own fursuit head. No, it's just comparable. Okay, fair enough. Let me chop that off sort of here-ish, I think. I've made 2 fursuit heads before. Jeez. Yeah, that's nuts. That's something that my friend had said to me. You know, if you're looking at getting into this for business purposes, there's a huge demand for fursuit stuff. Which is true. It's just not something I've ever looked into before. That vaguely straight-ish. Okay, that's not the worst. The frame of reference, that's not the worst. So now I'm starting to wonder if I just use bits of cable tie. Maybe. They have to be so small, that's the trouble. Just because of the way the character creators made the character, for half the face, they used some type of plastic clay, and underneath was foam, and then covered the rest with fur. See, the fur is the bit that I've got, like, no experience in. That's the bit that I just kind of look at and start sweating. Because people tend to underestimate how difficult it is to work with certain kinds of fabric. Fur fabric, nightmare. I hate working with fur, but once you get used to it, it's so good. Yeah, I believe that. I totally believe that. I just always look at it like, no, absolutely not. I refuse to subject myself to fur fabric. It's probably going to have to change at some point, but for now, I will continue to be Antu. Often made more animal type characters, hybrids, that kind of stuff. The fur I'm using, 25 out of 8. It's like I understand the bits like that, you know, it's directional, so make sure when you're putting it on certain places that everything's going in the right way. Cool, that's fine, but like just cutting fur fabric upsets me. I hate it. And then like shaving stuff, it's just carnage. Actual carnage. Well, mate, I gotta jump out. Have fun. Fair cop. Thanks for hanging around. Have a great day slash night. Thanks. You too. And catch you in a bit. God, these details are so small. Why do I do this to myself? I'm thinking maybe I'm looking at this the wrong way. I have a plan. And I think it will work out. Cutting is my least favorite. Shaving is meh, okay. Yeah. It's just ugh. Just ugh, and everything makes a mess, and it's hard to see what you're doing, and ugh. I think I know what I'm going to do with this. I think I have a plan. It's not far off what I was planning to do originally. So, I think we'll remove this for now. So what I think I need to do is actually, there I've made like 4 tails, blimey, 2 heads, 2 sets of paws, and a random paw. Cosplay I mentioned earlier, Rain Ghoul's tail, Rain's legs. That's about it. You say, that's about it, like, you know, just a couple of bits and pieces. That's a little bit nuts. That's a lot of stuff. There's an awful lot of stuff. And 2 paw shoes. Jeez. Yeah, that's nuts. That is so much stuff. I think I know. I'm gonna fix this. And a half-finished blush. Jeez. Okay, yep. You are just kind of adding to the list. Yeah, no. Again, me and Fur, I just I don't enjoy it. I really don't. And at some point, I know I'm going to have to bite that bullet for one reason or another. But I will continue to have an unreasonable prejudice against it until then. Part of Will Wood and the Tapeworm's tale. Huh. Geez, so you've done quite a lot then, really. That was my Halloween cosplay. I made kids cry, but that's how you know it's good. That's amazing. I I did I did similar, I think, a couple of years ago with my Dead by Daylight Huntress. Was just giving out sweets to kids at the door in this cosplay. They were not happy. It was great. Even the parents were genuinely unnerved because I just didn't say anything. It's awesome. But it's like you say, that's how you know you've done a good job is when you freak the children out. That's the best part of Halloween. Fear. So that bit's better. But then it gets real thin. So I think the best way that I can do this is to kind of cut around everything, which is going to take me ages, but oh well, so is everything else. I actually went door knocking with a person dressed as Angel Dust, Slender Man, and a magical bucket drumming pony. That is a combo. Slender Man, good god. That is going back some. How old is that game now? Also Sonic, Autism, we love you. Pretty much. Yeah, geez, Slender Man. Not thought about that for a very long time. It was wild. Yeah. Yeah, sounds it. Absolutely sounds it. Getting, getting better. What's the time? Just gone 10. Okay, I got time. Magical Bucket Drumming Pony was my favorite. He was amazing. It's always like the weird ones that are the best, you know. It's part of what I love about things like Comic Con. Is when you get there and there are people in like the weirdest mashup cosplays you've ever seen, but they're amazing. My mother, who stayed at home giving candy, was in like a witch ghost thing. Oh yeah, no, it goes so hard. It's just the best time of year because it's the excuse every cosplayer needs to just go absolutely wild. Because for the rest of the year, it's like, you know, you've got various events and stuff, cool, fun, whatever. That one night of the year, it's like, nah, nah, nah. Now we're on my terms. This is my domain. Oh my god, I love those. And when people take characters, make them look like the OG, but turn them into their own design, yes. Yes. So that's what I'm planning to do. Exactly that is what I'm planning to do for my big cosplay for October Comic Con. I'm, again, massive Zelda fan. So I'm taking the fierce deity from Majora's Mask, but I'm redesigning it with like a Twilight Princess influence. So it's the first time I've done something like that. So I'm super stoked for it. But it's a big project. So it's taking a while. Let's see if I can flatten this out a bit. Halloween is amazing. Actually allowed to dress up in a life-size tapeworm cosplay with teeth that's vomiting glow-in-the-dark radioactive goop without being called a furry. That's uh that's such a sentence. Good God. Yeah, that is exactly what that is. Oh, jeez. And when you put it like that, that is exactly what it is. Yeah. Hand out tiny plastic babies to people. It's See, for me, it just is so indicative of the con experience. You know, like that's just most cons, but brought to the streets. That's all it ends up being, and it just becomes utter chaos. I don't think I don't think I did Halloween last year. I think I was at Comic Con at the time. It all blends into one after a while. Con experience is amazing. I went to one of my first suits, and as soon as I got in, everyone was swarming me, asking for photos. I wasn't expecting that. It was my first con. Yeah, that is 110% the con experience. It's the best. Everyone's just permanently stoked. It's fantastic. Vibes are immaculate every single time. And you do get people handing out random stuff. It's the best. It's like, hey, here's this like badge that I made with this character that you happen to be cosplaying. Take it. All right. Awesome. Thank you. That's really cool of you. Like I was expecting maybe a few photos, but now it's wild. Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. And it's always one of those things like it doesn't matter how obscure you think something is, there will be somebody there. There'll be a group of people there who know exactly what you're doing. And I also won the cosplay contest. Yo, Yeah, that is huge. It's absolutely nuts. First con and everything. Jeez. First of many, I'm hoping. It's just such an unrivaled experience. It was a small con, 3,000 people, but still crazy. Absolutely still crazy. Definitely still crazy. But as I say, it is so the con experience, you know? I'm a teen in there with adults, but some costumes were amazing. Hey, it doesn't matter, if you're good at something, you're good at it, you know? I got maybe too many photos. No such thing. Categorically, no such thing as too many photos. If you don't come away with like a storage warning on your phone after a con, you're not doing it right. Them's the rules. And it should always be the most random stuff. Like I always come away with actually, that's the point. My BRB screen. That's one of my favorite photos from a con ever. It's just silly, you know. My fursuit's rainbow against grey, wearing a giant cape, so vibrant. That is hella vibrant. Yeah, silly. Massively. Silly is my favorite. That's my favorite kind of memory to have on my phone. The shenanigan kind. When you're just up to some nonsense. For the best. But it's now become a tradition between me and my con mate. Like every single time we go to a con, I always end up getting the same sandwich from Costa, and we always end up with a cursed photo of me eating it. It's the best. Unfortunately, this year I don't think the con's running. I'm going to a few others. Well, it doesn't have to be the same one every time, you know. That's beautiful. Hang on, let me whack on my BRB screen real quick just to prove a point. There we go. That's my King Crimson, which again, nightmare to get on and off. But one of my favorite photos of all time. So, you know, fun times were had by all. And now I've just got a collection of cursed photos of me eating the same sandwich in different cosplays. But I live for stuff like that. My contradictions, going in at least one matching cosplay with my sister, also only eating Maccas the whole time, beyond understandable. As far as like matching cosplays, I hadn't done it before, but I'm planning to do it in October with a few people. That is a beautiful photo. Thanks. I absolutely think so. I adore it with every fiber of my being. It's so cursed. And that's all I care about. It's like, yeah, it's great to have super dope professional pics, and I definitely appreciate them. But there's something about the super cursed, slightly crusty, pixelated images from Costa that you just it hits different. It hits different. It really does. I always gravitate toward the silly picks. Every time. This year for the matching, I'm going as Wrangle, she's going as Cardinal Copia. Yo, okay, well, fun fact. I recently made a Papa Perpetua face mask because I went to go and see Ghost at the O2. So that's a fun fact. Actually, let me see. I know, weird coincidence. Let me see if I can pull it up on my phone real quick. I don't know how easy it's going to be to see, but this was me when I went to go see them at the O2. So very very glittery, sparkly half mask. So yeah, that was that. That's sick. Thank you. That's what I was saying about the foam clay thing. That was the mask I'd made. So I had like a paper mask that I'd made initially just by wrapping my face in cling film and glue and paper, and then I used the foam clay on top. So coincidence, yeah, massive coincidence. That is crazy. And also the group cosplay. If you want, we're talking about coincidences here. That's what the plan is for the group cosplay. I am going to be going as Papa Perpetua, and there will be a bunch of ghouls. So if you have a Discord server, once the cosplays are done, we'll send photos. Oh, for sure. Nah, what? Nah, yeah, literally. That is my plan. Yeah, how nuts is that? And I've never done a group cosplay before, but after, because I went to go see Ghost with these guys, and they'd said afterwards, like, hey, for October, we were thinking of doing a group thing. Yeah, all right, go for it. So, small world, huh? Should be kind of nuts. I swear we were meant to be here, right? That is actually mental. Crazy how things work out. That is categorically unreal. What a nutty coincidence. Yeah, I need to set up a Discord. That is fair enough, really. Get people sharing all their cosplay nonsense. Also, other coincidence, just found my Ghost Impera CD today after losing it for a month. I don't have the Impera CD, but I do have the LP. That is a sacred item, because Skeletor is awesome, but Impera is still my fave. You know, still cool. Yeah, I think so. Hey, any Impera is good Impera. Okay, it is definitely my fave album, and I know a lot of people say, "Oh, Meliora," yes, but for me, Impera just blew my face off. So Impera right here, right now on CD, huge, nice. I went to go see Right Here, Right Now with a friend of mine, because I'd been to see Ghost before, but she'd never seen them. So I'd said, look, just come watch Right Here, Right Now. It's same sort of thing, but with extra lore. So we had a great time. Paris, my sister's fave. Excellent choice. Definitely. I can absolutely agree. Probably prequel for you. Hey, entirely fair. Entirely fair. Love 7 Inches of Satanic Panic? Excellent. Most excellent. Very, very fair choice. That's cool. Since I'm in Australia in the middle of nowhere, they don't often come here, so I can't see them. When you said Macca's, I thought, I'm guessing you're an Aussie. Because here where I am, we say Mackies, which is close, but not quite. So I had an inkling based on the shared need for a McDonald's. Not that I'm not a fast food kind of person, to be honest. But as far as the lingo, I understand. I think the last time I'd seen Ghost before I saw them recently was 3 years ago. That was the last time they'd been at the O2. And I remember because it came up on my Snapchat as like 3 years ago today, you were a ghost, sort of thing. Actually, this is crazy. We're both going in groups doing ghost cosplay. This is the most wild coincidence ever, right? So it is. Very, very strange. Of all the weird coincidences, this is very specific. I also saw this morning that U2s have a ghost drop coming up, which surprised me a whole bunch. I was not expecting to see that. I debated it. Not gonna lie, I definitely thought about it. I just, casually saved the announcement to my calendar. Like, we'll see. I'll leave it up to future me. I'll decide at a later date. For now, it's a strong maybe. I think I've decided how I'm going to approach this. What I'm going to do is stamp these bits. Rather than trying to place individual little lines. I think I'll have an easier time if I do it like that. So, I can still use this as the center point. I just then have to mark everything and sort of dig it all out periodically, which is fine. It's just going to take me a while. So, oh well. You refill in a bunch of stuff up here as well. Probably gonna have to be vaguely mindful of the time at some stage, because I do have other things I need to get done before I go out this afternoon. But then I'm like, I'm here now. I kind of just want to stay here, you know? That's the danger. I'd honestly just be here forever if I didn't have to leave at some point. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, in fairness. See, I figured you had a fairly eclectic music taste when you'd mentioned Willwood and the Tapeworms. Because I don't know many people who know who they are. And I've only got a very, very basic knowledge. But I still know. I hadn't put them together with Ghost, I must admit. It was not a combo I was expecting. I feel like I've probably spent this whole time redoing the same thing with this dagger, but oh well. I went in with one plan, changed my mind. I'm now going in with what I was going to do originally anyway, so oh well. It is what it is. Realistically, I'm not that bothered. Like I say, I don't have a deadline for this one, so it's pretty much whatever, realistically. As long as I can get everything to be roughly the same sort of height, then I'll be relatively okay. It only really needs to be the edges. I'll be digging out the middles again anyway. So, oh well. The edges are the harder bit. I don't want to ruin them particularly. I need to see where I'm supposed to be meeting people for D&D later. Probably the usual. I'll have to message them and confirm. I can just get this to a workable position. And then I gotta think when I'll next be able to work on it after today, because probably not tomorrow morning, because I'd rather be going back to the gym again. Because I really need to. I've been away for a while. I've been engaged in various other things. I should get back to it. Okay. Is, and I see where this line used to be. The answer is kind of can. And then I kind of just lose where it is for a while. That's a pretty good guess. I'll roll with that. And I gotta try to not lose that whole thing. But I also gotta try and get this to be even again. I'm hoping I can just indent a bunch of this. And then really meticulously scrape away what I don't need. But my god, I make my life so difficult for no reason. Everything that I faffed with this morning no longer exists. But really, it's taken me 3 hours to not quite be back where I started. Welcome to cosplay. If people tell you we have fun here, they are lying. Or they're at least omitting a lot of truth. So if I get this back again, whack that down here. Sounds to be up there somewhere. Roughly. Roughly there. Already uneven. That's fine, that's a future me problem. So I'm wondering, I just stamp everywhere that there is empty space. So here. Really hoping that I can see this enough when I pull this away to be able to make an educated guess on where I'm meant to be going with everything. Okay, maybe. Maybe I can. Emphasis on maybe. This is going to take me such a long time. Oh my god. I'm just coming to terms with how long this is going to take me. But it absolutely is. I think this is the best method I'm going to have. Objectively. Good grief. Alright, well. I guess my mate was right. When they were sassing me about the whole, oh yeah, quick 2-day project sort of thing. Yeah, alright, fair enough, you win. You win. I grossly underestimated this. And I accept the consequences. I think this is going to drive me clinically insane. This whole bit. It's also getting really hot in here because the sun is fully out and the door to the garage is black and I am next to it. So, yeah. This is gonna be an interesting time to exist through. Let's see if I can at least get a bunch of these marked in. see where that gets me. I think this is just going to take me a long time. Oh well. I can at least get these marked in. I can leave the whole thing in the fridge and come back to it at another time and hopefully have a considerably easier run of things. Okay, this is doable. It's tedious, but it's doable. But I was so right to fear this bit. I'll just have to see what I can get done and then contend with the rest later. Realistically, I'd say the absolute longest I can keep going is for another hour. That's like the max. I'm wondering whether I need to take a bit off of here. Is it slightly... slightly wider than the other side? Looking at it. Which is not the intent. I'm going to have to finesse this a lot anyway, it's fine. It's the future me problem. just scrape out a bunch of this. Easier with this, probably, right? Yeah, it is. Actually, you know what? I don't know whether it is or not. I feel like it was easier with this. It's easier with this. This is why these things take such a long time, because the amount of trial and error is absurd. That's why so many artists say that, like, they could never afford to pay themselves by the hour, because it would just, it would be so astronomical. You know, I think a lot of people will do the maths based on, like, the minimum wage for their country, and then say, look at how much I'd have to pay myself for this based on the minimum standard. It is mental. The amount of time these things take. All very well the whole time I don't have a deadline. But that's where it gets dicey, realistically. Maybe I will try sitting down for this, because I'm absolutely doing my back in. Let me see. Gonna be any better? Actually, yeah, I think it is. I think it is. At least to an extent. Nicer on my back, but it's harder to see what I'm doing. Still gonna have to lean right over everything and get the right angles. There's gonna be so much finessing required with this, it's absurd. Fine. It's a future me endeavor. I will deal with it when I get there. I swear if I'm streaming for so long that my workmate comes back again, that's gonna be my sign. That's gonna be the universe saying, hey, you've been here too long, you have things to do, leave. I'm sure it's fine. I'll hang around for as long as I realistically can, and then I'll eventually have to duck out. See, they're all fairly evenly spaced down the bottom, so I think, actually, I need to add a tiny bit back in there. That's what I think. I think I need to not trust the marks that were there, which is always a terrible, terrible sentence. That's what I think. See, that for me is much closer. What I think it should be. And if I just push that. Keep a relative center line going. And there goes my throat again. I swear this only happens because I'm trying not to be too loud. My throat is completely fine the whole time I'm not on stream. And as soon as I'm trying to not sound terrible, suddenly there's a problem. Yeah, whatever. think it's more like that's what I think. I don't know whether tweezers are going to be any use to me here. That's the thing. Actually, maybe. Kinda, sorta. Kinda, sorta-ish. I guess I just keep trying to make the same sort of marks. Keep it fairly consistent. Again, I think this bit comes over too far, so if I squish it, I ought to change that. I'm doing that thing again where I start to obsess over things that don't matter. So enough of that, more poking things. Trying to keep the same sort of line. Also have it so that it comes in fairly straight. Get a little bit further. Seems better. Let's try and dig this chunk out. Acknowledging that it's not completely level, but I can fix it. Still thinking maybe tweezers are not the worst way to go with this. Just take out a big old chunk in a one-er. Not bad. It's not the best either, though. Mostly just clearing enough space to then shovel the rest. Again, I feel like that's a little too high up. It's very difficult to tell. It's not far off. It's not far off. I think that'll be enough. A little bit from there. I think that should be okay. Three and a half hours. Yeah, sounds about right. Definitely sounds like a meism. It's getting lost in the source. So, no, not at that angle at all. Like that. More like that, but not as close to that edge. More like slightly higher up. Something like that. And that one's come out way nicer than the other one. Oh well, I guess. There is going to be a lot of finessing to do with this. Good grief. I thought the blades were bad enough. Oh well, whatever. I'll just settle into the madness, I suppose. Sitting down is a nice idea. Good for my back, but it also makes me tired. So, no. Standing up again. Helps it's hot. Never helps when it's hot. I will just lean. I can see better from here anyway. Getting to be the right sort of thing, which is a plus. It's just going to take a long time, so, you know, it is what it is. I'm nothing if not unreasonably patient. Also keep taking away too much. Needs to point up more. Got several messages that I've missed from friends. Oh well, that's fine. I don't think any of them are important. Probably. I can hear a truck reversing outside. I'm just thinking, oh god. Is that going to be a food delivery for here? In fairness, at least it'd kick me out the garage. Because I should definitely go and sort some stuff out. That is definitely something I should be doing. I just end up getting so lost in stuff like this. Okay, I've managed to find my marks again. That's something. It's now widened to a point that I can fairly easily double bits out. I'm going to have to go back through and finesse a bunch of this after the fact. If I can at least get everything marked up, that will be a plus. What was it? 11:15. Okay. Every time I look and see how late in the morning it is, I feel like it's my way of trying to say to myself, hey, go do other things. So I'm probably going to call this quits in a second, to be honest. I'm definitely spacing out. I can only be doing these sorts of things for so long, realistically, and then I need to enforce a break. That's why on the schedule I've been drafting up for all of this, I've got it mapped out as like 2.5 hour chunks. It's then pretty feasible, to be honest. See, what I don't like about this is that it's not even. Puts me on edge. And I suppose it wouldn't be because, you know, I marked all of this, which smushes it all anyway, so. At least I started working on this. It's definitely getting too warm in here because all the clay's soft. So I'm stood in front of a fan, so I can't really tell super well. That's definitely a thing. So I think what I'll do is mark in the rest of these, at least kind of. Do I even bother going that far though? Just doing a bit at a time has kind of been the safer bet. And maybe I don't. Maybe what I do is take up this little chunk and then call it quits for now. I think that's what I need to do. Because there are other things I need to get on with. And if it's too warm in here and I'm concentrating too much, then it's just a recipe for burning out, to be honest. And I know me, I will just keep going. I need to not do that. That's when I tend to ruin things. Where is this one? For now, I'm going to walk away because it's been almost 4 hours. I have other things I need to go do. It's too warm in here. And yeah. But at least I have a method. So, yeah, realistically, I took a bunch of time trying to do a thing that didn't work. But oh well. That is the nature of the thing. So that's fine. But for now, I will leave it here. And I will come back to it at another point. I don't know yet. It's gonna depend. It's gonna depend on what I end up doing next week. Because probably Wednesday next week will be the next time I get to deal with any of this. So yeah. Let's assume that for now, and if I'm back any sooner then great. But you know. Anyways, thanks for stopping by. Sorry I've kind of spaced out into another dimension. It gets like that. So I'm gonna go and do something else. And I'll catch you guys in a bit.